everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander's Core Studio. Welcome to the show. So, on today's episode, infinite value on a budget. We're going to be talking about some underrated commanders that you can't ignore and ones that you, well, probably didn't realize can do the crazy things that they can do. Let's jump into it. So, first up, we're going to be starting off with an oldie but a goodie, Vishkal Blood Arbiter. Yeah, I bet you forgot that this existed, didn't ya? Anyways, a 5/5 vampire flying in lifelink for 7 mana in Orzhov. Sacrifice a creature, put X counters on it, where XE sacrifice creature's power, remove all counters from it. Target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn for each counter removed this way. So, yeah, as a commander, it's like, okay, I sacrifice my creatures, I take out my opponent's creatures, maybe I swing through and gain some life, good for me. But I bet you didn't realize that there's actually a crazy cool combo with a card that I absolutely love, and that is Crackdown Construct. Now, this is a 2/2 construct, which, I mean, that makes sense from the name. That costs 4 mana. Whenever you activate an ability of an artifact or creature that isn't a mana ability, this is going to get +1/+1 until end of turn. So, what's going to happen is essentially, well, we activate that second ability. It doesn't really matter what we're doing with it. Again, it doesn't really matter how many counters we have on this. If we have some counters, cool. All right, let's take those counters off. Target an opponent's creature. Take it out. Good. Very simple, very effective. Here's the thing. We don't have a minimum requirement of counters needed on this. This is one of those really weird Magic things where it's like, I remove all counters from it. And your opponent's like, it doesn't have any counters on it. And you're like, yes, I agree. Okay, cool. I still target whatever creature. It doesn't even matter. You can target this commander itself or Crackdown Construct. It doesn't matter because that creature's not getting any -1/-1 at all. And then you do it again and again and again and again and again. As many times as you want. Again, judges out there, I'm not going to say infinite, but sure, 1 trillion times. Crackdown Construct then gets, +1 trillion, +1 trillion. Good for that. Amazing. Awesome. And all of a sudden, this allows you to, well, I mean, if you want to, sure, swing through with this if it can get through, but more than likely, sacrifice this to Vishkal, again, gaining a trillion and 2 counters or whatever it is onto this, and all of a sudden you can go, oh, okay, cool, I fly through, I've got lifelink, I hit an opponent, I definitely take them out, and I gain, again, 1,000,000,007 life or whatnot. So, infinite life gain, taking out an opponent out of, well, nowhere once you put the Crackdown Construct in play and go, oh, okay, cool, my character's infinitely large, goodbye. Yeah, infinite life, take out an opponent, and of course, if you can get through in other ways as well, in different turns, take out multiple opponents with this throughout the game. So yeah, a very cool, again, underrated commander with an underratedly cool combo. Next up, a partner commander that definitely gets slept on, and that is Dargo the Shipwrecker. And it is a game wrecker, most definitely. This is a commander that is a 7/5 Giant Pirate. Giant Pirate for 7 mana, but like, you're never going to pay that giant amount at all. It should cost to cast this spell. You may sacrifice any number of artifacts and or creatures. It's going to cost 2 less for each permanent sacrifice this way, and 2 less to cast for each other artifact creature you've sacrificed this turn. It's got Trample and Partner. So, I mean, this is something where it's become easier and easier and easier to utilize this throughout the years because we've got a ton of treasures now. I mean, all you have to do is just get a bunch of treasures. Like, oh, okay, cool. I get like 3 treasures, I sacrifice them. Good for me. Awesome. That's all I need to do is sacrifice basically 3 to really get things going, because once you do that, this commander just costs 1. And here's the thing. It actually counts itself if it's sacrificed as well for future casts, because obviously you're going to, sacrifice to get some commander tax, have to pay that, but it counts that you sacrificed it in perpetuity. So yeah, basically if you've got a sacrifice outlet, let's say one that makes you mana, like, oh, I don't know, Thermopod. Yeah, sacrifice creature, add red to your mana pool. There you go. You got infinite cast with this. Basically, infinite times your commander is coming into play because, again, it counts all the things that you've already sacrificed. So that commander tax is being taken care of. And of course, this is actually helping you pay more and more and more for it again in the future. So, Dargo Shipwrecker, this plus the Thermopod plus any kind of like, hey, infinite LTB, infinite ETB things like, oh, I don't know, one of the sieges that pings whenever a creature leaves, or how about like Impact Tremor, something simple like that. Or if you want to get really crazy, one of those cards that says, hey, yeah, storm based on your commander or how many times you've cast it, that kind of a thing as well. Like Fury Storm, I think's the red one. Yeah, you can do some crazy cool combos with this, though. A commander that, again, gets slept on when it comes to being a partner commander. People are like, oh, Dargo? Weird. Okay. And you're like, yeah, weird. Ignore me. Great. Okay, Thermopod, and here we go. Yeah, Dargo is super cool. Moving on, an 11-cent commander that, well, does things a bit differently, and because of that, we can do some really crazy cool things. A 2/2 human Time Lord Rogue, because that's the thing. For 3 mana in Is It, you draw cards from the bottom of your library rather than the top. Whenever an opponent scries, surveils, or searches the library, get a counter on this. Deals damage to the player equal to its power. That's cool, but more importantly, again, we're drawing cards off the bottom. Cool, that's great. That's weird, but what we can do with that is some really crazy, awesome things like, oh, I don't know, Time Stream Navigator, a 1/1 human pirate wizard for 2 mana in blue, ascend, and yeah, I mean, you gotta have technically the City's Blessing for this combo to work, but you're in Commander. You're gonna get to the City's Blessing. Good for you. Pay 4 mana until tap, put Time Stream Navigator on the bottom of its owner's library, take an extra of this one, activate only if you get the City's Blessing. So, essentially how this combo works is, you get Time Stream Navigator out, you get your Commander out, and yeah, you're just like sitting there and you're waiting. You're like, okay, cool. Yeah, don't worry about it, everyone. No, you don't see what's going on. It's fine. On your next upkeep, again, because, well, Summoning Sickness is a thing, and now it is no longer Summoning Sick, you activate. You activate this, you get an extra turn for this one, this goes on the bottom of your library, and for your draw for the turn, you draw, well, off the bottom of your library. So you're drawing Time Stream Navigator, and then you play Time Stream Navigator, and then on your next upkeep, you do the same thing again, and again, and again, and again. Infinite turns. Of course, you could actually get the infinite turns earlier as well if you have like a haste enabler in play, like Fervor or something like that. But yeah, River Song does a really interesting thing, again, kind of breaking one of the rules of Magic, really like, hey, no longer the top of the library, the bottom of the library. So again, something that is supposed to stop Time Stream Navigator from going infinite now actually enables it. So yeah, River Song, a very cool, very budget-friendly combo. Make sure you check it out. Moving on, Quasar, Augur of Agonies. When it comes to commanders that are slept on, yeah, that little symbol on the side of the card that's a different color, oh, it's uncommon, oh darn, yeah, it can't be that powerful, usually is one of the factors that happens with that. A 3/4 Cephalid Advisor, 4 mana in Esper. Whenever you draw a card, target opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. You're in a really powerful color combination for this because, well, I mean, tutors are a thing, obviously, and you'll get some tutors if you need them. But of course, you got access to a couple of different ways to go infinite with this. Now, with this one, you do need to be careful because you could just lose the game. I mean, if you have like a Lab Maniac win condition or a way to shuffle your library, then sure, but let's go into the combo here. Marina, Vendrell's Grimoire, if I could say that right. Ledger Artifact for 6 mana in blue. Enters if you cast it, draw 5 cards. You will be doing that, so cast it. You don't have maximum hand size, you don't lose the game for having 0 less life. Cool. Whenever you gain life, draw that many cards. Whenever you lose life, discard that many cards. Then you have no cards in hand, you lose the game. So this is a very interesting and unique card. In one that, well, hey, says whenever you gain life, draw that many cards. Which is funny because, again, your commander says, whenever you draw a card, target opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. So all of a sudden, you gain a life, you draw a card. You draw a card, you gain a life. Opponents lose life the whole time, great, good for you. So obviously, if your opponent's already low enough life total compared to the number of cards in your library, you can take them all out. That being said, yeah, you might need to stop this combo just a bit early, or again, have a way to shuffle, things back in your library, because this is an infinite combo that you cannot stop unless you've got a way to, again, literally stop it yourself. It just will keep going because there is no May in here. Another combo that works with it as well, though, is Drogskull Reaver. Basically, it's the exact same thing. 3/5 flying, double strike spirit for 7 mana. Whenever you gain life, draw a card. Again, no May in there either. So essentially, again, once you get things going, you're not stopping it unless you've got a way to stop it. So this is a combo that you got to be careful with, but when set up properly, you can definitely win the game and do some crazy things in either a Lab Maniac win or just shuffle your, library, essentially, so you've got that back there and you can draw more cards. Or if your opponents are a low enough life total, yeah, a really cool combo, and again, incredibly budget friendly. Moving on, a super strange, awesome, amazing, cool commander, Tazri Stalwart Survivor, 3/3 human warrior for 3 mana in Wooburg because of the activated ability. Each creature you control has tap, add 1 mana of any of this creature's colors, spend this mana only to activate an ability of a creature, activate only if a creature is another activated ability. By paying 5 mana, with all colors, tap, mill 5 cards, you get all the creature cards' activated abilities that aren't main abilities from one of the milled cards in your hand. That's nice, but more importantly, this commander turns every single one of our creatures that has another activated ability into a mana dork. And that includes Pure Sight Marrow. Yeah, you definitely knew this card existed, right? Probably not. It's a very weird card. A 2/2 Merfolk Wizard for 2 mana and Azorius. Pay an Azorius untap. Yeah, that's what that little symbol means right there. Untap. Look at the top card of your library. Remove that card from the game. So this combo is very straightforward, actually, and it is one where, again, if you've got like a Lab Maniac, you win the game, basically. I mean, you need like a card draw too, but essentially you just have this card. Oh, tap. Okay, I can tap for mana. Awesome. I'll tap for a blue or, a white, doesn't matter. Utilize its own ability to untap. And then look at the top card library and exile it. Goodbye card. Do it again and again and again and again and again. Essentially, this is a way to, literally, if you want to, filter through your entire library, get the exact card that you need, which, of course, could just be Lab Maniac, so you can be like a combo where you're like, okay, I find the other combo piece, I put it in play, and then I keep things going, essentially. You can definitely do that. Now, this is a combo where, again, you could just intentionally lose the game if you really want to do that. Probably don't do that, but yeah, this is kind of like a really interesting tutor, or, again, like a way to facilitate a combo win with, like, a Lab Maniac type win, as Oracle, etc., etc., but yeah, a very cool, weird combo that Tazri enables because, well, you know what? Overlooked creatures like Puresight Marrow are amazing with Tazri, and again, very budget-friendly as well. Next up, yet another strange combo with a very strange commander, Ith-High Arcanist, a 3/5 human wizard for 7 mana, but you can actually just pay 2 by suspending it for 4, well, not 4 mana, but spend 4 for 2 mana, there we go. Vigilance, tap, untap target attacking creature, prevent all damage to be dealt to and dealt by this creature this turn. So that is something that's quite interesting. It's kind of like, oh yeah, Maze of Ith, but as a commander. Interesting. There you go. Now, this is something that, yeah, it's a commander itself, so you can attack with it, though you might not always think to do that because, yeah, hey, it's like a 3/5 vigilant creature. It's like, okay, like I can swing vigilantly, and I can activate the ability still. And if it gets dangerous, I can take it out of combat, but maybe I'll save it for another creature instead because it might be more important. That being said, things get really weird with Wake Thrasher, a 1/1 Merfolk Soldier for 3 mana in blue. When a permanent you control becomes untapped, Wake Thrasher gets +1 till end of turn. So essentially, you untap things, this gets larger. Probably when they designed it, they're like, okay, yeah, you got a bunch of lands in play, you tap those for mana, next turn you untap them, and this is like, wow, you untapped all those lands, good for you, I'm massive! And it's like, okay, cool. But with this, you're like, okay, here's what's gonna happen, okay? You go to combat, all right? I want you to swing at that player. And it's like, really? It's a very scary player. Go do it. You got it. Okay, so you vigilantly swing, meaning that you're not tapping. But then you can activate the ability. You tap to untap targeting tank creature, which is Ith. You prevent all combat damage dealt to it. Cool. All right, that's great. That being said, hey, Ith, you know what? You're still technically attacking. It doesn't actually take you out of combat. It just prevents all combat damage to be dealt to and dealt by it. It's not taking you out of combat. Just because you're attacking and untapping does not mean that you're taken out. So all of a sudden, I'm going to tap you again to untap you and take you out of combat again. Not take you out of combat, take you out of attacking. Okay, cool. All right, let's do it again and again and again and again and again and again. You can infinitely tap this while it is technically attacking in combat to untap it and prevent all combat damage and whatnot. Basically, you can just keep tapping this to untap itself as many times as you want, as long as you declared it as an attacker in the first place. So because of that, when you also swing with your Wake Thrasher, who was just a little 1/1 to start off with, and your opponent's like, oh, that's hilarious, a Wake Thrasher, weird. And then you're like, okay, infinite untaps, and it's coming through, and it's hitting you for, again, technically, rules lawyers out there, not infinite, but a trillion. Sure, there you go. A trillion one, because I want to. Yeah, anyways, if you got a way to make this unblockable, or again, if an opponent just literally doesn't see this happening and just lets it get through, or if they don't have any blockers, there you go. This is the very weird, very strange, awesome combo with Ith. Moving on now, I love the Myojin, and because of the weird way that, Wizards makes these, and they still chose to make these, even though, Commander became a thing after the initial ones, essentially, and they chose to make this with the way that it is, it's a bit complex to make this work, but it is so worth the payoff when you do. A 3/3 Spirit for 8 mana in total. Enters the battlefield, indestructible counter on it if you cast it from your hand. Unfortunately, we play Commander. It's fortunate, but unfortunate. And in the command zone, not your hand. So, hey, no indestructible counter on it. Move indestructible counter from it, though, and copy target permanent so you control 3 times. Now, here's the thing. There's a couple different ways you can do this, like, how is that? Bonder's Enclave or whatever the one is where you can, like, move permanents from one, or, counters from one thing to another. Cool, that's the way to do it. Or just, yes, get a ton of mana very quickly, ramp a lot, bounce it back to your hand after you cast it, and then it's in your hand, replay it, and all of a sudden it's got an indestructible counter on it. Good for you. That's awesome. Now, here's the thing. We can go infinite in a couple of different ways, and one that I'll just bring up first is Gataxian Anatomist. Here we go. A 2/5 Phyrexian Wizard for 4 mana in blue. Enters the battlefield. You may tap it if you do proliferate. So, if we happen to have an extra counter on the Myojin beforehand, so again, we get an instructional counter on it, we cast it on the hand. If we happen to proliferate beforehand, then we've got an additional counter. We can actually keep that around. So we utilize that counter to say, hey, yeah, Gataxian Anatomist, while you're on the stack, let's copy you 3 times. Oh, great, awesome, all right, all 3 are coming into play, and all of a sudden, yeah, we're going to proliferate 3 times from those as well by tapping them, and now, basically, we've got, well, just an engine of getting additional counters on our commander, because you just keep doing that again and again and again and again, copying those spells while they're on the stack still. That same spell just keeps getting copied on the stack, making us extra token copies of it again and again and again and again and again. The exact same thing can be done with a couple of our cards, but yeah, Throne of Geth is another one as well. Artifact for just 2 mana, tap, sacrifice an artifact, proliferate. Throne of Geth is an artifact itself, obviously, so you can tap and sacrifice itself, including the token copies, obviously. So yeah, basically, infinite proliferation, essentially infinite Thrones of Geths as well, or infinite other things, depending on what you are copying. Yeah, Myojin Cryptic Dreams, again, is a workaround type combo just because the way that Wizards designed the Myojin, for some reason, they're like, you know what? No, let's just ignore the fact that Commander's a thing. Which, you know, sometimes is good for them to do. They overdo it a lot of the time. But this one's like, okay, well, these are just... Okay, you just made this... it's a fun challenge now, I guess. Okay, that's what it is. So yeah, if you're up for a challenge, Myojin Cryptic Dreams, a lot of fun proliferate combos with this one. Moving on, Val Candlekeep Researcher, a 2/3 human wizard with vigilance for 4 mana in blue. Tap out amount of, well, colorless mana equal to Val's toughness, and this mana can be spent to cast spells from your hand, but you can choose a background as well. So this is the kind of commander that can be flexible in what you want. If you want a certain color combination, great, good for you. You actually don't need another color, though, for this combo to work, because it works in any Val deck, essentially. You just need to get Val's toughness to a certain amount. So this technically is a, well, 3-card combo at least, right? Because you need another way to get extra toughness, but that's very easy to do. That being said, and one of the many ways that you do that, sure, do it, and then all of a sudden, singing Bell Strike. This is a very simple, awesome combo. An Aura for 2 mana, enchant creature. Enters the battlefield, tap enchant creature. Enchant creature doesn't untap the controller's untap step, but you can actually pay 6 to untap it, which seems like an unreasonable amount, right? And usually you use this on an opponent's creature, but no, yours again, your commander, which, of course, again, it's very easy to get that toughness up and be able to tap right ton of mana. And all of a sudden, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, Val, yeah, we're tapping for infinite, again, rules lawyers out there, a trillion, whatever it's gonna be, colorless mana. We can't use that to cast spells from our hand, but there's plenty of other ways for us to utilize that. Activated abilities, spells from graveyard, other ways as well. Yeah, basically a very simple, very awesome combo with Val. Incredibly budget-friendly as well. Just 4 cents for this card and 3 cents for that one. This is a 7-cent combo. Where can you get that? But yeah, and also, again, it's a commander where you can be flexible. You can pick whatever background you want, do whatever you want with that. There are a lot of cool backgrounds to pick from and a lot of cool combinations as well. Next up, another amazing combo that you might not realize exists in a commander that, well, you got to be careful with, because this is one of those combos where it's like, oh wait, kind of like Quasar. I don't want to actually lose. Okay, we got to do this the right way. A 3/3 human scientist for 4 mana in Jeskai. Whenever you put 1 or more time counters on a permanent you control, you get a 1/1 white soldier creature token. Whenever Kate attacks, you may pay 8 if you do target attacking creature you control, get +X to up to X the number of time counters 1 permanent you control. That's nice, but what matters is that first part. Hey, alright, putting a time counter on a permanent, make a 1/1. Well, that combos with Soul Tether Golem. What's that? You've never heard of Soul Tether Golem? Yeah, I hadn't heard of it until a little while ago as well. This is a very weird old card. A 3/3 with Vanishing 1 Golem that costs 2 mana. Another creature comes into play to control, you get a time counter on it. So, I mean, the way that this was designed was like, okay, it's a 3/3 for 2 mana. Wow, that's, undercosted. Oh my goodness gracious. Well, it needs to have Vanishing on it. And a way to keep it in play. Okay, get more creatures in play. And this commander's like, hey, okay, yeah, sure. So, counter on something. Got it. You got the Vanishing counter on it. So I'm going to make you a 1/1. Okay, and then, oh, I saw the 1/1. Okay, I get another counter. Oh, you made a counter? Okay, yeah, you get another 1/1. again and again and again and again. That is how this combo works, essentially. But again, it is a loop that you must have a way to stop, or it is just drawing the game. Or, again, you must have, like, an impact tremors in play to actually deal damage to your opponents, or some other way to take your opponents out, because if not, this is a loop that you literally cannot stop unless you've got a way to stop it, because it's just going to keep going. You can't at some point just be like, well, I choose not to make a soldier. It's like, no, these are not Mei abilities. This just happens. This just happens. So, yes, if you've got another way to actually win the game, or if you've got a way to annoy your opponents and be like, oh, let's just draw and reshuffle, and, we just played for 3 hours for no reason. Yeah, there's another commander on this list. I'll bring that up too. But yeah, you're going to have another way to win because you're a good commander player, right? Next up, one that just still blows my mind with how effective it is and how hard it is to stop. Narameha Master Wizard. Just 47 cents for this commander. A 3/3 human wizard flash for 4 mana in blue. Enters the battlefield. Copy target instant resource spell you control. 2 targets of the copy. Other wizards you control ++1. That is nice, but again, what matters is literally this is kind of like a dual caster mage, but in the command zone. It is only a spell you control, but with that, we've got plenty of great options. The best of those options, pretty much, is Ghostly Flicker. Instant for 3 mana in blue, synonymous with blink decks, obviously, but this commander is utilizing it in a different kind of way. I mean, you're still blinking things, but like infinitely. Why not? Exile 2 artifacts, creatures, enter land you control, return those cards to battlefield under your control. It's a very interesting combo where basically you cast Ghostly Flicker and you target whatever you want, probably 2 lands. And all of a sudden you're like, okay, I cast it, but while it's on the stack, wait for it, wait. I flash in Narameha, targeting that Ghostly Flicker. With the copy of Ghostly Flicker, I am going to be targeting Narameha in, say, a land. And then that, Ghostly Flicker, the copy will actually resolve before the main one does. The main one is still going to be on the stack. So the copy resolves, Narameha blinks, leaves the battlefield, comes back into play, so does your land, which, blinks, untaps essentially, so you can just keep tapping that same land for mana. And then you do it again, because Narameha enters the battlefield. You copy your, actual version of Ghostly Flicker that is still on the stack. The actual card is still on the stack. And then you do it again, and again, and again. Infinite ETBs with your commander, infinite mana with whatever land you want, or lands you want, essentially, and then infinite ETBs with whatever creatures you want that you all other have is too. Yeah, you got a lot of options to win from there. It is one that is really hard to stop because, again, it is instant speed out of nowhere. There's also other combos that work too with this, but yeah, Narameha, an absolute beast, budget-friendly combo commander. Speaking of which, Grumgully the Generous. Again, whenever players just see that uncommon symbol on a card, they're like, I'm ignoring this commander. Unless it's like Tatiova. But yeah, basically, which never should have been uncommon. Basically, commander players just like, oh yeah, I don't want to play that. It's not a mythic or a rare. Why would I build around that? My goodness. 3/3 Goblin Shaman for 3 mana in Gruul. Each other non-human creature you control enters additional counter on it. Here's the thing. Whenever you see a commander that basically says, like, enters with a counter on it, like for your other creatures, you gotta be, just wary of, well, if you're the opponent of the creature, of the commander, you gotta be wary of persist creatures, because we just got a brand new one as well recently that got spoiled from the Final Fantasy set, but hey, anytime that happens, it's like, oh, okay, persist creature, infinite, yeah. Airy Oofs, fun name to say. I probably said it completely wrong, but it's a fun name to say. 3/3 Oof for 5 mana in green. Sacrifice it. Deals damage with its power to target creature with flying. And it's got persist. Now, this one technically can go infinite with just these 2 cards. There is a condition that needs to happen, actually, though, where, there has to be some flying creatures in play that you can take out, basically, with this. Or, yeah, an indestructible flying creature. There you go. This would just go infinite with it. Obviously, if you have any other type of sacrifice outlet that is free, like, say, a Goblin Bombardment, the best example, essentially, that you can probably have, or, like, Ultra Dementia kind of things as well, then, yeah, then you can win from there. Because basically what happens, again, is you sacrifice this. Let's just say you've got that Goblin Bombardment, okay? You sacrifice, you ping something for 1. 1 to your opponent's face. Cool, good for you. This creature dies, it's got persist, it comes back and play with a -1/-1 counter on it. Grumgully says, hey, you're not a human. Cool, awesome. Come into play with a counter on you as well. So that +1/+1 counter and the -1/-1 counter each come into play on the creature, and because of new magic rules from when I was a kid, and that was not the thing, those counters cancel out. So it means you're at the exact same spot you were, it's just that opponent took 1 damage to the face, and then you do it again, and again, and again. So yeah, Grumgully the Generous is very generous with damage to the face, and also generous with a lot of combos, because whatever persist creatures you can utilize with this, please do. Next up, Hamza, Guardian of Arashin. In my opinion, one of the best +1 counter commanders out there. It is just so good. And again, yet still some players out there still sleep on it because they're like, well, it's uncommon. It can't be all that good. Yeah, it is. 5/5 Elven Warrior for 6 mana in Selesnya. Costs 1 less gas for each creature you control they counter on it. On top of that, though, and perhaps more importantly, creature spells you cast cost 1 less gas for each creature you control they counter on it. This is super easy to go infinite. Just super easy to get set up because you just need, well, 4 creatures in play with counters on them, which, yeah, there's plenty of ways to do that. There's so many ways to do that. And all of a sudden you're like, okay, cool, I did that. Ancestral Statue. 3/4 Golem for 4 mana, enters the battlefield, returning non-land permanent you control to its owner's hand. This is one of those cards where I feel like Wizards didn't think this would be a combo card. It's just that they probably forgot to put the return another non-land permanent you control to its owner's hand. They kind of forgot to do that, it seems like. Maybe they actually intended it, who knows. But basically, again, this can actually return itself when it enters the battlefield. So you play it for free because you've got those counters on your creatures. You play it for 0. You're like, oh, okay. All right, I played you. Bounce back to my hand. Play you. Bounce back to my hand. Play you. Bounce back to my hand. Infinite storm count, infinite ETBs, infinite LTBs, whatever triggers you've got going on. If you got a Soul Sister in play, congratulations, infinite life. If you've got, a storm card, congratulations, infinite storm. Lots of ways to win from there. But yeah, Hamza Guardian of Ration, a very powerful, in my opinion, still underrated commander. Just because it's uncommon. Players just like, it's uncommon. I don't want to play with it. Play with it. It's so good. And this combo, so potent. Next up, other commanders that do get slept on at times, and I am even guilty of this as well because, well, mono white is still the weakest color out there. Sorry. It is getting there. It is getting there. It is definitely getting there, but mono white is still the weakest, in my opinion, out there. That being said, it's getting there, and this commander is something to be reckoned with. Gilrayan, Dundian Protector. I probably said all that wrong. A 2/3 Human Noble for 3 mana in white. Pay 2 tap. Exile a target creature you control. You may return to the battlefield. Arthos control. If you don't, begin next end step. Bring it back with a Vigilance counter and a Lifelink counter on it. Basically, do you want an immediate blink or a delayed blink? And you're like, well, if I'm comboing, I probably want an immediate blink. And you'd be right, because very simply, very effectively, Village Bell Ringer. Now, technically with this combo, you do need to have some mana dorks out there that can tap for at least 2 mana. You will have that. If you're playing this commander and going about it in this way, you're going to have mana dorks. Great, good for you. And certain mana dorks can actually just tap for, 2. Like a Platimir could just do that on its own. Or if you've got more than 2 mana for your mana dorks, congratulations, infinite mana. I should probably read what this card does, though. A 1/4 Human Scout with Flash enters the battlefield. Untap all creatures you control. Very simple, very effective. All of a sudden, again, you have your, okay, I tap my mana dorks for, 3 mana or whatever it is. I tap my commander, and then I say, hey, Village Bellringer, you go away, but then come right back. And Village Bellringer says, okay, I'll leave and come right back. Enter the battlefield, every creature untaps, including my commander, including those dorks. So then you can do it again, and again, and again. Again, if you've got like a Soul Sister in play, infinite life gain. If you've got, any other kind of like Altars Brood or that one is that like Mills players too, good for you. But also, yeah, if you've got any kind of creatures that have tap activate abilities that do anything, cool, do those as well infinitely. But yeah, you've got infinite mana. You're probably going to win the game from there. So again, a commander that is slept on a bit because, again, it is a mono-white commander, and yeah, you might not think that there's a lot of potential for that, but there's a ton of potential for a commander that can blink something and bring it back right away. Absolutely crazy. Okay, so the final one is kind of, I'm not going to say a joke commander, but one where I did a, hey, lose your friends deck on it, and you most definitely will, because this combo is not one where you are actually actively looking to win with it. You are actually going to be trying to just, draw the game. That's what you're trying to do. You're really just trying to draw the game, and there are so many different cards that do the exact same thing with this. I mean, there's I think 20 plus cards, basically, that do the exact same thing. It can be very hard for runs to stop. A 3/3 Elf Wizard for 4 mana in Dimir. Beginning of your end step, target opponent gains control of up to 1 target creature you control. Put 2 counters on it and tap it. It's good for the rest of the game and gains. This creature can't be sacrificed. Whenever a creature you own but don't control attacks, you draw a card. Now, if you're building this in a completely, let's say, honest and upfront way, where you're like, I actually want this to work and I want to win, then you'd be like, okay, all right, cool, I get to draw cards off this. Awesome, yay, good. Give my opponent's creatures that, awesome, it's great. But if you're just building it just to kind of, be a little obnoxious, then, yeah, Manta Ray. Cards like this. Island Home. I always find it weird when, we used to have a keyword, and then they take away the keyword. And they're like, no, we don't use that keyword anymore. Kind of like unblockable. Why did they take away unblockable? It made complete sense, Wizards. Now they're like, no, can't be blocked. Really? That's what unblockable means. Okay, anyways. 3/3 fish, I guess, for 3 mana in blue. Island home. If the defending player controls no islands, this creature cannot attack. If you control no islands, bury this creature. Can't be blocked up by blue creatures. What matters here is literally just some text on it, which would be a normal downside for the vast majority of decks out there, but actually is exactly what you're looking for, is if you control no islands, bury this creature, which back in olden days Magic made sense, right? This is a sea creature. You have to have an island, you have to have water, or it's going to go away. Although, ironically, an island is land, right? But there's water around it. Okay. So, because of that, you are like, oh, okay, well, I've got an island. Obviously, I can keep this. But hey, that player over there is playing, I don't know, Jund. They don't have any islands in play. So here's what's going to happen. End step, opponent, hey, you know what? I want to be generous. I'm going to give you a Manta Ray. All right, Jund player, here you go. Here's a Manta Ray. And all of a sudden, that player's like, wait, okay, I've got a Manta Ray, but here's the problem. I don't have any islands, so I have to sacrifice this. But wait, John Arenicus says this creature can't be sacrificed. So, infinite loop of, I must be sacrificed, I can't be sacrificed, I must be sacrificed, I can't be sacrificed. And it draws the game. Unless someone has a way to stop that, yeah, the game is just automatically a draw. And again, literally, if an opponent does stop that, because like they take out your Manta Ray, cool, good for them. You've got like 15 other creatures that do the exact same thing. You're going to be donating those with your commander in a very obnoxious fashion. So again, this is a commander that is incredibly budget friendly. It is infinite combo E. But the goal of that is not to win the game. The goal of that is literally just to draw the game and be a little obnoxious. So again, be careful. Unless you want to lose your friends, be careful with this one. But yeah, at the end of the day, there are a lot of really cool and exciting things that you might never have thought about with certain commanders. You forgot about a certain commander like Vishkal. I haven't thought about that in years. Dargo, you're like, oh, that's a partner commander, but like, that can't be that exciting. It costs 7 mana. How crazy. Or River Song, it's like, well, yeah, cool. Draw a bottom library. That's interesting, but what can I do with that? Or, hey, it's an uncommon commander. Let's just ignore it. No, you should not. Or Tazra, it's like, the other Tazras are cooler. Why won't I just use those instead? Or Ith, why would I use this? What? No. Yes, use it. Or Myojin, it's like, that's not a commander. They actually say you can't use it as a commander because you're just casting a 3/3 for 8 mana until you bounce it, play back your game. And then you do some crazy things with it. Absolutely. There are some commanders that are most definitely slept on. There are definitely some underrated and amazing commanders. And I hope this opened up your eyes a little bit to some of them that can go infinite in some really weird ways, some really cool ways, some really dastardly ways as well. I mean, yeah, I'm not going to be one who goes about and builds, a John Renicus deck just to troll people, but maybe your friends are kind of cool with that if you play a little prank on them every now and then. So, have fun. And with that, this episode is coming to a close. Make sure you comment below with your thoughts on it. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.